Hi, welcome to Door to Door with your host, me, Judy Stakee. Join me as I travel all over interviewing songwriters about their process. Hi, my name is Judy Stakee, and welcome to another episode of Door to Door. Today is just a little bit different. Today I have Mr. Jason Land sitting next to me. Jason is a songwriter, a musician, and I'm not going to actually tell you what he's doing right now because that's a process that I would like for him to unfold for us all. So my first question will take us off, but do you remember how we met?
I do. I remember how I was introduced to you. There was a producer in Nashville that was living underneath the loft that my dad was, and I had played him some demos of songwriting that I was doing, and then he's like, well, you got to meet Judy because you're in LA. And he connected us, and then I came over to your house, and the first thing he said is, have we met before?
Right.
And we hadn't, but that is how we began our journey.
We began our journey.
Yeah.
Way back about 10 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 9 years ago. And Jason Lenning was the producer.
Yes.
And that meeting really, it wasn't just one meeting. Because after that, you took one of my workshops.
Sure.
Before I was doing the retreats that I do now, I was doing workshops out of my house, and you did workshop number 2. Yes. So before we all met, so start me out on your musical journey.
Sure. So,
tell us your story.
Well, I knew at a very early age that I wanted to be involved in music, and I wanted to get a guitar not to play but to write. So as soon as I got the instrument, I immediately started writing songs. And all of the material I was learning on guitar was working towards me learning how to write and compose, and you know, that started my first few bands that were terrible, and then you know we kind of evolved from there, and I got to play with some higher level musicians, and then I really wanted to move out to Los Angeles, but the deal was that I had to go to some kind of college before I could do that.
Right.
This is a parent's deal. So
Parents have that with everybody.
Yes, yes. So the compromise was that I found a 2-year music college in Florida called Full Sail. So I went there and learned about production and engineering, and they also gave me a lot of time to write and develop my guitar skills. And from there I moved to Los Angeles and was in an original band for about 3 years. After that, I kind of dipped my toes into several different worlds, which was trying to do session work, trying to audition for touring gigs, continuing to write my own music, and then getting into the pro songwriting world and just seeing kind of what resonated, where I really wanted to go with my career. And that's when we came across, is right when I was trying to be super serious about writing. And you know, from there so many other things have come to fruition, but that's where I started and what got me to the next phase.
What always impressed me about you was when you were going through that pro songwriting phase was the camaraderie that you took from the workshop.
Oh, most
is
definitely.
that you beyond the workshop you befriended 3 other writers, and the 4 of you wrote for practically a year. It was like 9 months to a year, every Thursday night. And you created a body of work, and just that showing up and creating something every week and having to demo it and having to get along and I think it was such a great process for all of you to go through, and I saw such great growth from what you guys created.
Definitely.
You know?
It was an amazing experience. I mean, everybody that was in that collective was such a really strong writer and musician, and I'm friends with a lot of those people to this day. And
each one of you has gone on to do really amazing things in your own way, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool to like be in your room that first time and have everybody like do their song. I remember that first moment where everybody was in the circle and playing the tunes, their own song, and I'm thinking, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? And at the end of it, I was terrified and supercharged at the same time, going like, whoa, like this is gonna be really great. I ended up being fantastic, you know, like probably the best investment I ever made.
Oh, thank you. So Here you were at the crossroads. I mean, you were at on this road of, songwriting and great guitar player, backup guitar player for, Miley Cyrus. Let's go for all these possibilities. And then you took a little turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way I got to where I am right now is I was commuting between Los Angeles and Nashville with a co-writer and a good friend of mine, Femke, Femke.
Yeah.
And I got to really see the ins and outs of what it takes to be a writer every single day. And I started to recognize that wasn't for me. It's not that there was anything wrong with it. It's just I see like this just wasn't vibing with where I wanted to go. And I started doing some reflection on, okay, well, what is it that I really am good at? Like really, really, like what's my special skill? And I had been teaching for a while. I had been teaching guitar at another music school. And it was just so natural. I mean, the high I would get from it was just perfect flow, and the students and I would get in these great conversations about philosophy and life, and we tie that into the guitar. And it was at a crossroads in my life where I was about to get married, and you have to make a decision. Are you going to still struggle and continue to bust through and until you make it, or are you going to find something that could be more stable? I am somebody that really needs stability and consistency. So I was like, you know what? I really like the teaching gig. This works for me. I'm like, everything fits. So I decided to form my own company in that moment. And the process it took about 2 months for me to really come to grips with that decision. And I sat outside, it was in the summertime, every day for 5 days a week for literally 2 months with a whiteboard, and I'd write down the pros and cons about, okay, well, what if I went this way in the career, or what if I did this? And I just, at the end of it, I came to the conclusion that it's better to do something that I feel is right than to try and force something that maybe wasn't right for me. Not that I wasn't good at it or I could have gotten even better. It's just like I just felt like I should swim with my own stream. And that was the defining moment for what became Guitar Ninjas.
Fantastic. So tell us about Guitar Ninjas.
Sure. So Guitar Ninjas has become this monster that I could have never imagined. So it's a guitar school, a beginner guitar school that's based in Southern California, and it's a methodology that I've been developing for over 10 years now that intertwines biomechanics, music, and philosophy. So we were able to teach students how to play guitar in a super efficient way that also ingrains in life skills and decision making that you can use outside of guitar playing. So the Guitar Ninjas theme came from my love for like Eastern philosophy and all that, and recognizing that people need to be motivated to get through the waves of learning a new skill. So in karate, you get different color belts. In Guitar Ninjas, you get different color guitar picks based on what level that you're at. So I started experimenting with that and seeing what the reaction was with students, and it just was like amazing, the response we were getting. So the course has just continued to develop and develop and develop, and we're at a point now where I think there's no stopping it now. It's just this circus that is so awesome to be a part of.
Right.
Yeah.
I love your whole philosophy though, because it integrates with my philosophy. Is that if you want your voice, your lyric, and your melody to be great, then you have to work on your body, your mind, and your soul.
Totally.
That it's not just one. It's like you can't have a guitar player
right.
leaning over his guitar. So they all have to. So you teach it all. So tell us a little bit about the school.
Sure. So our core location is in Burbank, and we have another location in the city of Orange, and then we lease out our program to other schools throughout Southern California. But basically what happens is students come in of all ages. We start as young as 5, and we have plenty of adults. We have young songwriters. We have people in their 50s, 60s, 70s that come in and study with us. You come in and you're part of a course, and you're really part of a family and a collective. And what you do is each 30-minute lesson covers a specific technique, and everything's mapped out and put in a way that the technique you're learning this week applies to a song, which then ties into the next technique and the next technique. So we call it a path, the guitar path. and every time that you're coming in, and month after month, you're walking further down the path and taking your guitar journey. So it's really about applying all the things that I talked about and putting it in a way where people can actualize their dreams and their intentions, even if it's not to become a pro musician, but to have an outlet to get rid of stress or whatnot. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to get that and achieve that. And if you are a person that's trying to become a pro musician or a writer that's looking to acquire more skills, we try and show you the most efficient way to do that based on biomechanics and mindset. So what a lot of people do when they're learning how to play guitar, for example, is they don't recognize that if they would just move their elbow in a little bit, or their wrist down, or their shoulder down or forward, and all these little things, if they just made those little tweaks, that they'd get exponentially more results. So we're looking for that. So I've trained all of the instructors on staff to be looking for specific biomechanics, just like in sports. And then we are really big on the concept of the growth mindset. So there's this fantastic author, Carol Dweck, who did this book called Mindset, which talks about how you can take on challenges and turn them into fuel rather than having a fixed mindset and telling yourself that you can't do things or things are too hard. So that's where the philosophy side of it comes in, is where we look for keywords or trigger words, we call them, where the student comes in and maybe they're not in the right mindset. We try and coach them on using the right vocabulary internally so that they can overcome the obstacles. So we fuse the efficiency in movement with the efficiency in thinking and applying it to songs that people know, and then you get good guitar playing.
So one of the reasons I wanted to bring you to my audience is because I think you exemplify a great teacher.
Thank you.
What impresses me so much is the training that you must have put yourself through to get to this point.
Definitely.
To notice if someone's elbow is an inch off or not. I mean, that's not just something you know that comes naturally.
Right.
So how much training did you put into this?
Oh, more than my 10,000 hours. Like, that's for sure. I couldn't even tell you the amount of students I've coached at this point.
No.
I mean, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
But it's, to me, it really stemmed with caring. You know, like, I really care about what happens every second of every lesson, because I want to pull the greatness out of people. And that was, circling back to like the defining moment of what started all this. It was like that I really enjoy being a coach. I really enjoy like seeing something special in somebody. And you do the same thing, like for your writers. Like, I enjoy seeing that one little thing that they don't quite know how to pull out, and then helping them pull it out. And the result is just so gratifying. So being committed to every moment, and then just studying and asking the question behind the question. Okay, so the result that this person's having is a chord that doesn't sound right. Well, that's just the result of a series of steps. What are those steps? Let's kind of like backtrack. So the training came from just reading a lot, and I'd record my students, and I'd watch the videos of their movements, and then I'd watch myself play guitar, and I'd watch other pro players play, and just kind of see what are the tendencies. And what are the tendencies when someone does something wrong? So I used to take notes of, okay, if 5 people are playing a D chord incorrectly, what is the common characteristic mechanically? And let's see if we can create a tool that will fix that, or let me create a system to help them overcome that. And it's just trial and error over the course of 15, 20,000 lessons.
Well, and you do something that I tell my kids all the time. Kids, I call them my writers' kids. All the writers all the time is that, you have a problem, or you have something you want to do or whatever. It's first of all being conscious of it, and then start asking questions.
Right.
That's what you do. It's like, okay, if I do it this way, I go here. If I do it this way, I go here. And which way works out better? It's just this constant thirst for knowledge.
Definitely. Definitely. Like, asking yourself why or how is so much more powerful than I can't.
Yeah, right.
Or and when people face a challenge, I mean, it could be like they're writing a song and they're not able to get the lyric they want, or the melody they want, or the chord progression they want. Some people get really frustrated with that, and they'll just give up on it. But start asking the questions of, okay, well, why is this the outcome, right? Yeah. The outcome is just a series of steps, right? So let's figure out where in that process we took a left turn rather than taking a right turn. And that journey, I mean, when people really embody that mindset, magical things happen.
I was actually on with a client this morning who had a little 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old came up and was trying to do something, and she says, I can't. And the mother says, no, honey, there is no such thing as I can't.
Right.
Let's figure it out, you know. And it was like, wow, just the way she said it was so beautiful, you know. And the daughter was like, oh, okay, you know, oh yeah, of course, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growth mindset.
I always thought it,
yeah.
yeah. The other thing that's the reason I wanted to bring you to my community is there are so many songwriters and there's so many artists and there's so many musicians and everybody is so talented, you know, I mean.
Definitely.
Everybody is so incredibly talented. But not everybody turns out to be Britney Spears, you know. They have, you know, their songwriting and they're a musician and they're all these things, but they might be set on a path of education and teaching. I have another client who has started to come back to songwriter because he wants to teach his kids. You know, he wants to have a music hour and to be able to teach his kids all this stuff. So,
That's cool.
So it's not so much the result. You know, it's just it's educating yourself. It's yeah, you know, it's filling yourself up with all of these talents and then figuring out what you're going to do with them.
Yeah, and as at the end of the day, no matter if you're a writer or a player or a teacher or, I mean, maybe you become anything really, it's what's your legacy, you know, like, and I feel like the legacy has to be something that's truthful, you know, so like finding out like what that is for you and then just going all in on it. And if that's writing, then great, go all in. And it can't be about, you know, the money, and it can't be about like the fame or anything. It has to be about that this is what I want to do because this is what I do. And that was like, to me, that was like such a great decision, like of just going, I understand who I am now. I get it.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I made that commitment, it's just like my world exploded in good things.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's great advice. Really great advice. What's next?
Wow, I'm on such a day-to-day basis right now because of the speed of the growth of the business that I just try and make sure that what's next is what's best for the company. So really trying to take us to the next level, which is I want to be the premier beginner guitar lesson school and philosophy in the entire world. So we are in the process of going through a growth phase that will get us to being able to grow not just in Southern California, but franchising throughout the country and then hopefully franchising internationally and hopefully branching off to do some more online stuff. But just doing it with the principles that got us here, which is excellence and doing everything to the best of my ability.
We're going to have to wrap this up, but will you leave us with your motto?
It's, by Aristotle, excellence is a habit, and I really try and follow that. And I mean, I read philosophy every single day just to stay fresh and stay on the cutting edge, because if there's one thing I've learned being in this industry as long as I have in the music industry and living in Los Angeles is that there's always somebody that is just a little bit more talented than you are, and people that just have this natural ability that if you're not doing everything you can to be the best version of you and being excellent at everything that you can do, you're going to get taken over. I mean, you have to continue to like up the bar for yourself, and what you get at the end is the best version of you.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of Door to Door. If you like what you are seeing and watching, then I think it's swipe up or swipe down or whatever we do.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Thank you, Dia.